What is up, my friends? We out here in the car in the winter in PA. And no, this is not Clue. That was a silly joke, but we out here. So with that said, today, peeps, what are we talking about? We're talking about learning to love yourself. Or should I say, learning to love the process of learning to love yourself, right? Starting to understand that to love yourself is a process. And I know that a lot of you out there are probably thinking, well, who are you to say this? Who are you to talk about loving yourself, etc.? And it's very easy for me to sit here and say, this is this, that is that, this is what you should do. My friends, what I'm sharing with you and what I'm sharing on this channel is just my perspective. That's it, just a sliver of perspective of something that's worked for me and that I'm continually growing and developing, but that I think is valuable and worth it to share. And my philosophy is that if I can create something that can help just one person, then I'm going to do it, because I have all the ability on earth to do it. I can get in front of a camera, I can speak, I can go off my head and just flow with ideas, and I can share my experiences. I'm open enough to do that. And if I can help one person on their journey, then it's worth it. And that's why I'm making this video. So I hope this is helpful for you who are going through the process of learning to love yourself right now, and who perhaps don't like yourself. Maybe you hate yourself. Maybe you can't even stand to look at yourself in the mirror. Or maybe you are like me, and you pretended that you could look at yourself in the mirror, but when you look more closely, after a few seconds, you saw the truth. That the truth was that you didn't really like yourself, and you were embarrassed of the person you were, so you hid in plain sight. You hid to muffle the pain, the screams of your soul. That was me. And that's why I feel like I'm able to share this story right now. And so what I want to do is talk about my journey to get here right now, where I believe that I have never loved myself more, my strengths, my weaknesses, my ambitions, my past experiences, my mistakes, my victories over myself, all of it. I believe at this moment, this is the most I've ever loved myself, and I'm grateful for that. And I want to share some of my journey with you, and at the worst, offer some insight into what I did to help myself grow in this way. And at the best, perhaps you adopt some of this stuff in your own life, and you can see some results too. So anyway, you know, today is Monday. Monday's Zelda Day. I just made that up, but I'm digging it. So we out here. And the first thing I want to talk about today is that for me, what I realized is that there was really like a 3-step process to me growing and learning to love myself ultimately. And at the time I was not aware, right? I want you all to understand that in the last 6 years, I would say I wasn't really conscious of what I was actually doing until the last 2. So really 4 years I was just going in a certain direction based on intuition, based on what I believed to be true, without actually understanding what was happening, and being cognitively aware of that. And I want you to understand that, because I think a lot of us do that. I think a lot of us go confidently in the direction of our dreams, our intuitions, and achieve things and don't always necessarily know how. Part of my journey, part of the work that I'm working on now, is defining what I did so that I can show other people what I actually did, instead of just blazing a trail forward or following a lightly worn trail and then coming out the other side and being like, hey, there's this really great thing, this is how you do it, but not being able to show them the trail. I want to show you the trail. And so we start, first and foremost, with why I was not able to love myself for such a long period of time. And it all starts with the apex. And the apex of all of this is value. My friends, if you don't value yourself or value your own existence, if you don't value yourself and believe that you have a reason to be here, how will you ever love yourself? How can you love yourself if you don't value your own existence? If I can't sit in this car and say, Graham, I'm so happy that you're alive today, because you can do such great things. You can create a video for other people to watch all over the world. You can make someone smile. You can push yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually to be a better human. You can spend time with your girlfriend and your family and your friends. If I don't value my own existence so that I can help other people and help myself, well, then I'm never going to be able to do things for myself, aka learn to respect myself, right? To eat healthy food, to get a good night's sleep so that I can talk to the person in the morning and give him a high five and say, hey, this is going to be a great day, right? So I can do exercise so that I'm healthy enough to move around. So I can find space for myself and get more aligned with who I am. So that when I'm out and about in public and I'm out and about in life and something happens that doesn't align with me, I can speak up and speak my truth, right? And respect myself for who I am, right? Because it's valuing yourself that leads to respecting yourself and doing things for yourself that will ultimately allow you to start the process of learning to love yourself. You see, it's value, respect, and love. And it's that triangle, right? That triangle of truth is what I've been calling it. It's that allows you to love yourself. Love yourself in the moment. Love yourself always. And it all starts with value. My friends, and I talked about this last week. I talk about this, I think, in every video. If you do not value yourself, you will never be able to love yourself. In fact, you won't respect yourself. Which brings me to me. Let me tell you something. 5 or 6 years ago, when I was a drug addict and a drug dealer, I did not value myself at all. I knew that what I was doing was wrong. I knew that it was not me. And I knew that it was disgracing my soul every single day. But I did it anyway. And why? I did it because my ego was inflated. And I had never valued myself in my life. And for the first time, I was at least getting attention. And I'll be honest, I was a coward then. And I allowed my ego to seduce me into thinking that it was okay. I allowed it to seduce me for a very long time. I didn't value myself, so I wasn't in the process of respecting myself. In fact, I injected more drugs into myself than I could even contemplate doing ever in my life, let alone for pleasure or for scientific purposes, actually testing stuff just to see what does what, etc. Right? And I certainly could never learn to love myself if I was in that constant state of I was in a constant sedated state of just tons of drugs and just dousing myself in pleasure to put me in a place where I could at least escape myself for a period of time, because it was impossible for me to look at myself in the mirror and actually see a person of value, to see that I was of value to myself and of value to others. That doesn't mean that there weren't times in that period where I was like, wow, that was me. Like, me still shows through, just like you still show through sometimes. Some of you still shine. You're still shining. There's glimpses of you. Glimpses of you when you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, when you know you're on point, when you know you're valuing, respecting, and loving yourself. There are glimpses, but it's not your state of being. And this channel, this video is about controlling and creating a new homeostasis of your state of being, one of love, one of inner peace, one of truth. And the way to do that is to first value your existence. And the way you do that, the true way to value your existence, is to take a fucking step back. Just take a step back, look in the mirror, drown out the noise, and look at you for who you are. Look at you for who you are. Look at you for who you are. And don't let yourself, no matter what, waver from that person. And it's easy for me to sit here and tell you, oh, this is how you do it. For me, when my dad died, I could no longer escape my truth. It shone through me. On the day of his funeral, there were 3,000 people that I don't know how many people. I think there were 3,000 people. There were between 2,000 and 3,000 people at least. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And it blew me out of this world. I didn't know what to say. I just saw what I was supposed to do, and it literally just shone through me, and it was a light that went off, and it hasn't gone out since, right? That was me. That was how I did it, right? That was how I realized that I was a person of value, because I understood for the first time in my life what someone who values themselves could do for others. And when I saw what my dad had done for all those people that he coached, for all those people that he touched, I knew that I had the same ability, and that I was not executing on it, and I wasn't upholding it, and I wasn't living by that standard. And I knew that I couldn't live my way any longer. And I was already coming around to that person. And I think the way that I also did it was get in touch with my inner child again, go back to me, go back to the basics, remove myself from a situation where I was surrounded by people who didn't believe in me, surrounded by business or a job that didn't align with me, and so lived in a place that wasn't true to me. And when I moved myself away from all those things and went home to myself, my original home to my youth, to where I still belong, and home to at least a job that was aligned with me. At the time I owned a landscaping business, so at least I was doing something for me that wasn't necessarily, in my opinion, it wasn't the apex of what I could do to help other people, but it's also, well, what is that, right? That's so ambiguous. It wasn't what I liked to do, put it that way, but it was still a lot better than me doing things that I knew weren't true to me at all. I was still serving. And when I removed myself from all that stuff and I got back to being me, the pathway started to open up to me, and I realized, wow, I do have value. I am a person that has value in me. I do have it in there. I can sense it. I see it. This is more me than I've been in a long time, because I removed myself from the wrong people. I removed myself from the wrong job. I removed myself from the wrong place that I was living. And I put myself in the right place with the right people, mostly myself, because you need time, of course, and the right job and the right environment. And allowed that to guide me to that critical breaking point where I saw the truth right in front of my eyes and knew that I no longer could escape it, and that I needed to rise up and be that person that day, not wait one more day longer, be that person then. And so I can't sit and tell you when your time will come, but I can tell you that to discover value in yourself, go back to you, go back to your roots, go back to the person that you were before you thought you were someone else. Go back to that innocent person that you are inside, that you keep trying to hide from other people, including yourself. Go back to that person, start there, and I know you'll find a way out. You'll find a way to start to learn to value yourself again. In the process, you'll naturally respect yourself from then on, and you'll be in the process of loving yourself. And I also think, and this is where the journey changes, is once you do those three things, right? Once you start that process and that continuous process of that triangle, I believe then and only then are you able to truly look at your life and panorama and see all the things that have happened, all the things that are not all the things that are going to happen, but things that have happened, things that are happening, and see where you fit in, and see what it is in your life that's not allowing you perhaps to love yourself more, what is in your life that's aligned with you, what's not, etc. And for me, that all started with the first phase. And I will also admit to you that for me, what I've learned is that learning to love yourself is actually besides awakening your infinite potential, learning to love yourself is the other portion that MBS, the Mind, Body, Spirit program that I created, and the sort of the way that I live my life, touches on. And that's learning to love yourself. And one of our recent MBS graduates, current POG legend Rhett Butler, made an amazing poem about learning to love yourself and about his experience through MBS, which I will put in the comments section below. If you're interested in reading it, please do. It's really special. But for me, what I've come to understand is that on the process of learning to love yourself, besides valuing, respecting, and loving yourself, once that cycle starts to run, you elevate, right? You transcend a little bit, and you're now a little higher than you were, and you can see yourself for how you are, right? You can see where you've been and where you weren't being true to who you are, right? And it's that process right there. And I think so many of us go through it. It's like, I know that I do love myself, but there's so much stuff, there's so much baggage that's weighing me down. It's like, how can I ever escape this, right? And that's where acceptance comes in, which is the first phase of the MBS program. It's all about acceptance, right? This is who I am. This is who I've been, right? This is who I've been in my life, and I need to be okay with that if I want to move forward. This is who I'm being in my life, and I need to be okay with that if I want to move forward, right? This is who I've been. And so as we move forward and we learn to love ourselves, it all starts with acceptance in that regard. We have to first accept who we've been, which means we have to accept the terrible choices we've made. We have to accept the people that we've hurt. We have to accept hurting ourselves. We have to accept the mischievous or atrocious behavior that we've exhibited over the course of our lives that makes us turn, and we have to accept the skeletons in our closet. We have to accept all of it. Why? Because if we can't accept it, then we're not going to be able to forgive ourselves. And if we can't forgive ourselves, we will never be able to forgive others for their trespasses on us. And if we can't forgive them, then no one's going anywhere. You see, acceptance and forgiveness are the gateways to you learning to love yourself continuously over time in all aspects of your life, past, present, future, right? And the ability to not judge yourself. It's going to start with your acceptance and forgiveness. I can sit here, and I used to judge the fuck out of myself because I did not accept myself at all. Graham, your hair isn't curl. I used to literally, oh my gosh. Over the course of my journey, I have had so many instances where I didn't accept myself that it's actually unbelievable. Thinking back, and I'll just name random ones. Thinking back to in middle school, I remember my hair, like if it wasn't like perfectly curled every morning, then I would feel like I wasn't attractive enough, and that it would just, I was like really ugly, and that I wouldn't be able to like make any friends, or no girls would like me, etc. In high school, I remember if I wasn't playing like all the sports, then I didn't feel like I was like worth anything, and that I would make friends and that people would like me. I had so many acceptance issues with myself, right? So many acceptance issues with myself, right? I was never even able to forgive myself for having no control over how I looked. Like, that's just how I was born. It's easy to say now, but at the time, it would have saved me a lot of freaking trouble if I had only understood that, if I just accepted who I am and realized that I'm still cool and I can still be me, and that there's still awesome stuff about me. If I had valued myself back then, truly, I wouldn't even have had to worry about it. And I feel like so many of us, because we don't value ourselves, we don't respect ourselves, and we're not in the process of learning to love ourselves, that we're unable to accept who we've been. We're unable to accept ourselves as we are, as we're being. And if we're not able to accept ourselves, well, guess what? We're going to judge ourselves. We're going to judge ourselves hard. We're going to judge ourselves into the ground. We're going to judge ourselves into anxiety. We're going to judge ourselves into depression. And if we don't watch it, it's going to be chronic. It's going to be something that keeps happening. Oh, and just so we know, the more we judge ourselves, the more we notice others judging us. In fact, we attract other people who judge a lot, because at least it makes us feel like we're not crazy, that everyone else judges too. All right? Interesting thinking. Acceptance and forgiveness. It's the first phase of MBS. Because in order for us to truly move forward and have the realization of what we are and what we could possibly be, we must first accept who we've been, who we are, and who we're being right now. When we do that, a lot of things open up, right? If we do that, and if we get to that place, if we get to that wondrous place, if we get to fields of growth in that regard, of the acceptance and forgiveness of ourselves and who we've been, and the things that we've done, the bad choices we've made, like I said, the people that we've hurt, well, then really amazing things happen. What we could do is we can move on to the second stage, right? The second phase, I like to call it, which is realization. The realization and understanding. And this goes into, these are my strengths and weaknesses. This is what I believe. And with what I possess, what else can I do? What more can I do, right? And I believe for people who go through MBS and for the program in general, having the second phase all about realization allows people to come to a homeostasis, like I said, value, respect, and love in the process of transcending a layer, and at the same time now looking down and accepting and forgiving all the things that have happened, so we can look around to ourselves now and say, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? I need to accept these. This is who I am, and that's okay. I have these strengths. I have these weaknesses, and they're for me and me only. And I have these gifts, right? And starting to learn to understand what they might be. The second phase of MBS And the second phase, I believe, of learning to love yourself is realizing the amazing things that you possess, your natural talents and abilities, and we all have them. And for the person out there who's playing the victim right now, saying, I don't have any, dude, stop. Stop playing yourself. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for you not being the coolest. Forgive yourself for feeling insecure. Forgive yourself for feeling like you couldn't do it when everyone else could. Forgive yourself for being the slowest. Forgive yourself for being all the things that you think you suck at. Because you have unique gifts and you can serve one world and you can find a way to battle through adversity. So stop acting like you can't. Stop playing the victim. It doesn't help anyone. It certainly doesn't help you. Instead, find a quiet place and evaluate yourself. Find a friend, someone you actually trust, and tell them to tell you what they think you're really great at. Right? A lot of us, it's so much better when it comes from someone else. We actually believe it. Right? Because you know why? Because we don't have value in ourselves. So we're looking for someone else to put value in us. I don't love the idea, but it's better than nothing. What are your talents and abilities? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Accept them. Accept you. You can do it. You can do that. And for me, personally, since I was younger, I've always known that I have, I don't know really what to call it, but I know when push comes to shove, I take action. And I can do that, and I have courage in the face of adversity. I can do that too, right? And I think a lot of us can. I think most of us are wired to allow courage to come through in the moment of truth. For me, I've always known that I'm able to communicate with people very easily and effectively, and that I have a natural high energy level, and it's attractive to other people, and they want to be around me at times when I'm not being a jerk. In the past I was, and I forgive myself for that. But more importantly, I believe that one of my abilities and my greatest talents since I was younger was the ability to really rely on my intuition and allow it to speak through me, and allow myself to become a vessel, and whatever needs to be said, what needs to be done, what needs to be created in the moment, I've allowed myself to do it without second guessing myself, and just understanding that it's aligned with me and this is my truest form coming through. And no one ever told me that I had these gifts. This is something that I discovered myself through consistent daily action, and just through honing myself and spending more time alone and understanding myself. And I've told a lot of people this before, and I'll say it again. A man or woman finds their greatest gifts and their truth in silence, peace, and quiet, not in a crowded room. You might get glimpses of it in the crowded room, but you define it in solitude. And I highly recommend for many of you watching this, if you want to learn to love yourself truly, then you're going to need to find some space. We all need space, and we need it badly. This world has never been more clogged with communication. There's so much happening. How can you possibly find peace and quiet when your phone's going off 24/7, emails going off 24/7, cars are whizzing by, people are running around left and right because snow's coming. There's so many distractions. We need to remove ourselves from that so we can realize our truth, realize who we are, realize our strengths and weaknesses, realize our ambitions, realize our unique gifts, realize what we are, what we are capable of, right? Realization, the second phase of MBS, second phase of learning to love yourself, is all about understanding yourself. It's about going deeper. It's about finding space. It's about, wow, I've accepted the things that I've done and who I am. And I forgive myself for the things that I've done and who I am. Which naturally allows me to start forgiving other people for these same things they did to me. Because they're in a similar situation. They're learning to love themselves too. So I'm not surprised that since they don't love themselves, they didn't show love to me in that way fully. It's about realizing that you have the ability to do more, my friends, and that you haven't been. And that was me. And it's still me at times. There's still so much for me to grow into. Right? It's an ongoing thing. But finding space to create for yourself so that you can understand your unique gifts is what realization is all about. And I really, really, really hope that you find some space, because you desperately need it. We all do. And so what then? What then is the third phase, Graham? If we must first value ourselves so we can respect ourselves and we can truly start the process of loving ourselves and elevate and look down upon and look behind in the past to forgive ourselves for the person that we've been, to forgive ourselves and accept ourselves for who we are so that we can be the person we want to be. What then, Graham? What then, Graham, is that third phase, right? Acceptance, realization, actualization. Can you actualize all of the things that make you who you are? Can you be that person? Can you create a state of being out of your unique gifts and talents? Can you create a state of being out of your strengths and weaknesses? Can you create a state of being that is value, respect, and love each and every day? Can you create a state of being that is your self-actualized self? And what does that mean, self-actualized? It means you being the highest version of yourself. You attaining a place where you are being the most true to who you are in the service of others. Because in the end, when we get to the highest point, we are looking to serve others because we're serving ourselves, right? Serve yourself, serve others, serve one world. It starts from self-actualization. But you can't live a self-actualized life until you've learned acceptance, realize where you're at and who you are, and actualize that person. Actualize, create, use those unique gifts in the now, in your state of being, and move on to be that person, right? That is the highest order that you can attain. That is why Pillars of Growth, Mind, Body, Spirit, is all about awakening your infinite potential. It's all about elevating your consciousness, your awareness to a higher level so you can see yourself for who you truly are. So you can level up to the person that you know you've always been. So you can actualize the person that has been dormant inside of you your whole life. So you can be this person that saves the world for you. You can be your hero, be your legend, be whatever you want to call it. But you can only do it once you've accepted yourself for who you've been and forgiven yourself for all of those things, for all those people you've been, the people you've hurt, etc. Till you've realized who you actually are. Realization. This is the phase, right? This is the phase where you have a better understanding of you. And then finally, to top it off, now I'm going to be that person. I'm going to take those actions. I'm going to start living that way. I'm not going to accept anything else. I'm not going to go against my truth anymore. You'll have to break me because my soul, my spirit will never give in. I've transcended that level. I'll never come back. Couldn't pay me. You could not pay me $1 billion right now. If you had $1 billion in this parking lot and said, Graham, I'll give you $1 billion to sell 1 gram of weed to that guy over there. Do you know what I'd say? No. It's not about the money. It's about me loving myself and being true to who I am. It's about me living that way and being that person because others look to me. Because I've been living that way. They look to me and they see a reflection of the person they want to be. Just like I look at you and see a reflection of my old self or my new self or the person I want to be in others. We all reflect each other in that way. When you serve yourself, you are automatically serving others by setting an example, which is going to thus allow us both to serve one world, which is going to allow us all to awaken the infinite potential, changing the world by first changing ourselves. And it's all from what? Value, respect, love, acceptance, realization, actualization. This is me. This is how I live my life. You can catch me anywhere. And you're going to see me doing the same things. Why? Because I love who I am and the man that I'm becoming. I love the process and the journey of being true to myself. I've seen who I've been. I've accepted that person. I've forgiven myself for the horrible things that I've done, for the things that used to make me not be able to sleep at night. But now I know we're part of my journey, and that I couldn't get mad at myself for growing. I couldn't get mad at myself and hold myself back from not being better. I couldn't get mad at myself for not making this decision instead of that one. I couldn't get mad at myself for dating the wrong girl. Couldn't get mad at myself for going to the wrong school. Couldn't get mad at myself for not listening to my coaches. Couldn't get mad at myself for disobeying my parents. Couldn't get mad at myself for fucking over my friends. It was me. I did it. And I had to pay the price. Lessons learned. Accepting myself for who I've been. Forgiving myself. Laying myself to rest. So that I can focus on this moment and these moments moving forward. And allow myself the opportunity to redeem myself and live the truest life possible for me. All through acceptance, realization, actualization. This is who I've been, and forgiveness. This is who I really am, and I need to allow that person to come through. This is me, 24/7, 365, till the day I die. Growth. My friends, self-love, it stems through self-acceptance. It stems through self-realization. It stems through self-actualization. It stems from you actually taking the time for yourself to analyze who you are and to go deeper, to ask yourself the raw questions that you've been avoiding your whole life. To remove people from your life who aren't true for you. To remove yourself from environments that aren't right. To move out when you know you should. You move out when you know you should. To quit the job when you know it's not right and not aligned with you. To speak up when your mind's telling you to shut up, but your heart is telling you to speak your truth. It's about living in union with your spirit and living in union with who you are. It's about letting this version of yourself shine through again. It's about not judging yourself. It's about living your life on your terms. It's about living in unison with your truth. And if you don't know what your truth is, then I highly recommend that you begin by spending some time by yourself and secluding yourself. There's a great quote in a book called The Art of Peace, where the author Morihei Ueshiba, which I probably am not saying correctly, but I don't think I'm that far off either, discusses how no matter who you are, from time to time, it's important that you seclude yourself among the mountains to refresh and renew your spirit. For many of you, you haven't renewed your fucking spirit in your whole life. You've been stagnant and stale, programmed by society to do X, Y, Z. You don't even know who you are. You're afraid to look in the mirror. You don't want to ask the questions. Dare I meet you and ask you a question that you can't answer? A simple question. What are your strengths? What do you think you're really good at? If you can't answer that question because you don't want to sound cocky, or, well, I never really thought about it, or, well, I'm not really that good at anything, then you need to spend some time alone and have a better understanding of who you are. You need to find value in yourself. You need to be able to respect yourself and learn to love yourself so that you can go through the 3 phases of acceptance, realization, and self-actualization that are MBS, that are the process of self-love. Because you're lying to yourself. You have amazing gifts and amazing talents. But more importantly, like I've been telling people when I talk to them, this world fucking needs you. If you're watching this right now, the world needs you. Now more than ever. There's some problems going on, and we can do better. That's why. It's not the worst, but we can do better. You can do better. So stop feeling sorry for yourself all the time. Do something about it. Take action. I know you don't know half the time. That's okay. I didn't know either. There are still times where I don't know. But I always revert back to one thing. This is who I've been. This is the new me. Or this is the old me, the original me. That I didn't have the courage to bring through those times in my life where adversity struck. And I wanted to revert and cling to something. A make-pretend version of myself that would get by and please people around me. No, I reverted back to my original self, my true self, because I had everything I ever needed and ever wanted and more. And I know that a lot of you don't have it. I know a lot of you don't know. That's why I made this video. I made it because I get it, because I've been there. But you can escape that place. You just need to find space for yourself. Self-love is an ongoing battle. It's every day 365 till you die. But if you live in unison with your spirit, then you'll make the right decisions and you'll have good judgment. But this cannot be done until you've learned to value, accept, and love yourself and who you are. I thought this guy was going to hit me in his truck. Until you value, love, and respect who you are, and you join the great journey of acceptance, realization, and self-actualization, which is on a repeat cycle. Every time you level up in awareness and consciousness, you have to accept all the things that you had done at that previous state, because you made a lot of mistakes. You have to realize where those mistakes and lessons are coming from. Then you have to actualize and create and take action on the new things in your life that are going to drive you forward and allow you to continue to be at that same person, that same level. That was a truck that almost hit you, almost hit me. It's a consistent battle. Every day. Value, respect, love myself, level up, look back, accept and forgive who I've been so that I can be this person and realize left and right. Strengths, weaknesses, ambitions. How do I create them? I actualize them using my unique gifts and my talents. Serve myself, serve one world. That's how we do it, my friends. Simple and difficult at the same time. But I believe that you can do it. Because if I can do it, so can you. And a lot of you, some of you have never met me. Some of you have known me and known me through these phases of my life. But I can say one thing for certain. I will not go back on myself. I will not go against who I am. And I will live in unison with my spirit. Because I believe in myself. But more importantly, it brings me inner peace and joy knowing that I'm living out who I am. And I'm self-actualizing every single day. And that I'm living in my highest order and working to get better. And in the end, peeps, self-love is just respecting who you are because you value yourself and it's worth loving who you are. And my friends, if you don't love you, it's going to be hard for others to love you too, even if they say they do. In order for you to love someone else truly, you have to first love yourself, which means if people aren't going through the same process that I just talked about, then they might be lying unconsciously, but they might be lying still. And it's important to think about that. Especially last week we talked about relationships. I think another thing that I don't know if I mentioned was that in relationships, most of them, I think people just don't understand what love means because they've never learned to love themselves. Because if you haven't learned to love yourselves, you're not going to be able to love someone else. Everyone needs to go through this process. It's a process. And it keeps going and going and churning and churning. And the longer you go, the more defined you get and more diamond-like you get, harder and more precise and more beautiful in your own way. So with that said, I hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, let me know. Just put a comment below. I know it's hard for a lot of people to write comments because it gets you out of your comfort zone and you're worried about judgment. But that's why I encourage you to do it. I promise you, people don't look that hard at the comments. They might look for a couple seconds. They might go to your little page and see that you don't have any videos posted, but they're gonna forget about you in 15, 20 seconds. But me, I remember, because this is something that I created for you, and I would love to know what you think about it. And if you're not comfortable commenting below, then message me and let me know. Last week I had tons of comments from people reaching out to me, letting me know how much they loved the video and how great they thought it was, and how thankful they were and how they were going to apply some of that stuff to their life and their relationships, and that made me feel really good. But most importantly, it made me realize that I'm living in my highest truth, living in that self-actualized state and doing what I said I'm going to do, and creating for you. So please let me know. Again, comments, messages, etc. I'll link all my socials below. For those of you who are really interested in personal growth and development and are new to it, or on the personal growth and development journey, we have a free Facebook group below. You're more than welcome to join it. It's free, and we just post cool content in there and have a nice little community and support one another through our adversity. Pretty simple. And besides that, I definitely want to know what topics you want to hear next. And finally, I did discuss today the 3 phases of MBS, Mind, Body, Spirit, the program I created that have helped many people learn to awaken their infinite potential, excavate their unique gifts, serve one world, find a way through adversity, and find value in themselves and learn to love themselves. And if you are interested in something like that, you just have to get in touch with me, and we can talk more about it. But most importantly, I just wanted to share those with you because I believe that it's stuff people should know, and I believe that if you can understand the triangle of truth, and understand that it's phases, and that it's not just like you flip it on, flip it off, and then it's a process and it's a journey in itself, then you can really understand and learn the process of acceptance, and really understand and learn the process of realizing who you are, realizations, and the really understand and learn the process of actualization and taking action on the things that you know are true for you. And if you can do that stuff, guys, you can change your life. And if you can change your life, you can help someone change theirs. And if you can do it and they can do that, we can do it. Woohoo! World gets better. We out here, right? And so in the end, something very complex as changing this world is very, very simple. It's just getting it through to everyone is the issue. And it's not my place to get it through to anyone. It's just my place to create this video and let others decide what they believe. Work for me. I believe that it's worked for others, but will it work for you? We shall not know until you take action. Use your gifts. Serve one world. Legends find a way, my friends. I hope you're having a fantastic day when you see this. I hope you continue to have fantastic days for the rest of your days. Much love always. Be good, be safe. Peace, peace, peeps.